20 seconds live will start, he's saying.
Yep.
I started the recording.
All right. Welcome to another episode of our conversations of CIEL HR. As you all know, that CIEL HR is a full spectrum HR solutions company. We address all the components in the HR value chain, helping organizations in their HR strategy and HR actions. We are spread across the country, about 85 offices, 37 locations. We have been continuously growing, one of the largest in India. We see that there are talent migrating from smaller locations to larger locations. And that, interestingly, at the same time, there has been a reverse migration taking place. Tier 2, Tier 3 locations in India have been becoming more and more significant. About 20 odd years ago, I have been seeing this in a significant way when places like Mysuru, Vizag, Coimbatore, Chandigarh, Jaipur, some of these places have really emerged as strong basis for supply of talent to the major metros, as well as at the same time, people have reverse migrated to those cities as well. So it depends upon people who are in different stages of their life and they have made those career choices. We, being in the forefront of HR, have been very intrigued by this movement of people, uh, aspirations of people, and matching that with the organization's growth plans. So during our growth journey, we decided at some point of time in the recent past to look at Mysore as an opportunity. And we have now set up a delivery center in Mysore catering to the HR solution needs of organizations pan India. We are going to deliver these solutions from Mysore. We are leveraging on the talent pool of Mysore. We are leveraging the infrastructure which is available in Mysore. And to mark this occasion, we thought we will do a little formal research about Mysore as a talent market, what Mysore has to offer to businesses as well as talent across the country, and probably give some new perspectives that people may not be really very easily accessing that. We have got an industry stalwart with us, Mr. Bhaskar Kalale. He is currently the chairman of EqualizeRCM, and he's president of Tyre Mysuru chapter. He has been the former chairman of CII Mysuru. Mr. Kalale is a distinguished business leader, known entrepreneur, community builder, with a career spanning over 3 decades across technology, operations, and product management. As the chairman of Equalize RCM, he leads the strategic direction and growth of this offshore healthcare revenue cycle management company, overseeing P&L, delivery excellence, and all the strategic initiatives which happen in this organization. More than 1,500 people are there in the company. Entrepreneurial journey of Mr. Bhaskar Kalale includes founding Scalability Digital, a performance marketing agency, 55 plus, an interesting pioneering wellness platform for seniors. Previously, as president operations at Theorem, he played a pivotal role in scaling the global delivery and leading India operations. So we have such a well-known industrialist of Mysore on the panel. Thank you, Mr. Kalale, for letting us take your time and dip into your perspectives and insights that you have to share with businesses not only in Mysore but across the country. And at the same time, we have Mr. Jagadesh Rangaraju, again, a very well-known HR professional. He's Senior General Manager, HR, IR, and EHS at JK Tyre and Industries Limited. Mr. Jagadesh Rangaraju is a seasoned HR and industrial relations leader with over 2 decades of experience across reputed organizations uh, like Bosch, Sri Cement, and Tata Power Solar Division. So, in his current role at JK Tyre and Industries, he spearheads HR, industrial relations, and EHS across the 3 plants in Mysore, employing more than 3,000 people. His core expertise, of course, lies in industrial relations, employee relations, wage negotiations, compliance, and the entire labor ecosystem, employee ecosystem in different industrial cities across India. His strong command over contract labor management, union negotiations, of course, are noteworthy. He is a very strong believer in people first policies, sustainable HR governance. And thank you, Jagadesh, for allowing us to again use your time and hear from you from an engineering manufacturing perspective. Since we did this research, I just want to take a few minutes just to present a few slides on the Mysore talent market, and then I would bring in Mr. Kalale to reflect on what he sees in this research, and then I'll come to Jagadesh, and probably we'll pick up a few points which will be interesting from an employer standpoint, and at the same time, a few points which will be interesting from the talent standpoint. Okay, let me share my screen and show you what we have found in this research. So we are just calling it, I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
All right. So talent trends in Mysore, our idea was to just get a few insights and what's the opportunity. So that's the point. I will just go to the next slide. Yeah, so the purpose was to identify some actionable insights that Mysore talent's ecosystem for the business, considering the expansion of talent acquisition and significance of Mysore. We will also talk about the tier 2 talent hub in different across multiple sectors. That's our opportunity that we see in this report. So here you'll see what we are seeing, all the job opportunities which the enterprises in Mysore are looking for. We did a research. We found that about 1/3 of it, 35 to 40% of these job open vacancies in Mysore are in IT services and outsourcing sector. Then followed by about 30 to 32% is happening in the manufacturing, including defense, manufacturing sector. And then about 15% of it was in the banking and financial services sector. So, of course, this is probably well known about those 3 sectors, but it's interesting to see the split. The interest here is while there is a mixed response about IT services and outsourcing as a space, but here in Mysore, we see the largest number of opportunities are in IT and outsourcing, closely followed by the manufacturing sector, the new opportunities which are there, the jobs which are available. And another interesting point, of course, is the lower cost of living compared to various tier 1 cities. So for the same amount of money that people earn, with lesser money, they can lead their life, hence the saving potential is higher. And of course, the good talent hub, because 16 accredited engineering colleges producing about 3,800 tech graduates annually. So it's like a hub of technical people available. And there are 2 zones, Hebal and Tandya, which are declared special investment regions. So that kind of helps organizations to scale. I mean, there is a potential there. So the industry trends that we see, IT services, it is consistently growing. While we hear that in IT services of large listed companies, the number of jobs which they are recruiting is not growing thanks to AI and various other automation drives which are happening. But here in Mysore, the opportunities have been continuously growing, about 37.5% year after year in the last 2 years that we see. And GCC about 44% increase in jobs in 2024, compared to 2022. So that's again something very interesting. BPO customer support is also growing. And emerging industry, which is interesting, is electronics and semiconductor, edtech and e-learning, and renewable energy tech. I think these are some interesting features that we saw. So when we compare this for Mysore versus other tier one cities, something again very interesting for the employers, that attrition level here is much lower compared to the other tier one cities. So that's something interesting that we noticed. And cost advantage is, of course, the city offers. And infrastructure, multiple IT parks, STPI units. So that makes it very attractive for the newer IT and ITES companies outsourcing GCCs and all of that. For existing ones which are there in Mysore, for them to expand further and for new ones to enter. And then the competitive advantage of Mysore is, of course, all of us know it's very close to Bangalore and great highway connection, good rail connectivity. All of this is there. There is an expansion headroom because new space is available in the ACG areas, and growth projection is we are seeing about 11% in the next 5 years. So that's something interesting. And all of these are good things. However, there are also some challenges. We did some research which showed us that what is the supply versus what is the demand of talent. And we saw that there is some tightness of supply available. That means the fresh talent which is coming and the existing talent pool for a GCC kind of a space, the demand supply ratio is 1 is to 1.2, which means for every job available, sorry, the reverse of it. That means for every 1.2 jobs available, or for every 12 jobs available, there are only 10 people, 10 candidates available. So that means there is a shortage. So this is a news for probably the technical institutes and more people to come into the city. And in areas like cloud, AI, robotics, some of these emerging areas, there is a need for specialized skill development. And of course, for senior talent, there is always a challenge how we attract talent from the other areas like Bangalore and other places. And of course, opportunity, we spoke about the GCCs, capability centers, like even a company like CIEL HR is looking at how to leverage we are starting with our recruitment business, but because we have various HR tech businesses, we will also start sometimes delivery from here, catering to customers pan India and globally as well. So the capability centers, which will come more and more, cloud, DevOps, AI, data science, and in the manufacturing side, of course, to support that automation, robotics, process simulation, and all of that. Of course, there are government incentives. We spoke about SCG, campus partnership opportunities with so many engineering colleges, make them employable, and then multi-stage expansion, which is possible because of there is no immediate saturation risk. While a few cities of India are already facing that saturation risk. And then, so finally, I close by saying that what we see for the three sectors, one is IT, second is manufacturing, and third is BFSI that we spoke about. For IT, it's probably more and more cloud and DevOps centers of excellence can come here, leveraging the local cloud certified engineers who are available. And of course, AI, data science, innovation labs can happen with ML and analytics people. And campus partnerships can be developed with a few of those very well-known reputed campuses for the talent pipeline to be channelized into the company. So those are we see as opportunities for IT companies, and for manufacturing to set up automation and robotics training centers, because the skill development is required, especially for PLCs, SCADA systems, and all of that. And then how the special investment regions that the government has offered, how to leverage that to create more expansion. So that's another opportunity we see for the manufacturing sector. For BFSI segment, I think digital banking compliance hubs, like some of the states in India are looking at the tier two cities to set up some of these. Mysore can emerge something like this, and of course, hybrid model of branch recruitment and campus hires are possible. So broadly, that's all I had to present. I would stop sharing my screen now. I would invite Mr. Bhaskar Kalale to reflect on the research that we just presented. So broadly, if you could open by saying that what is it Mysore, what does Mysore have to offer for the talent and for the businesses? And then I come to Jagadesh.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Thank you so very much, Aditya, for inviting me. It's great to be here and sharing my thoughts. Also, it's to be honest, it's a great time to be in Mysore. Right. So now I've lived here in Mysore for about 14 years now. After we relocated from the US, having lived there for 22 years, we thought we would go back in 3 years, to be honest. But now it's been 14 years and we are still here. Right. So it is, and we have seen literally how Mysore's landscape has changed, both in terms of the industry as well as availability of talent. And one correction, not correction, I would like to add to your deck, Aditya, is IT and ITES, that is the IT enabled services. And I think you had a mention of BPO somewhere. So BPO, KPO is an integral part of some of the companies that operate here in Mysore today. So I'll
Yes.
address it from the both perspective as what is in there for businesses, as you mentioned, and also in terms of the availability of talent. In terms of the businesses, what you captured and what your research shows is absolutely correct, which is more number of companies are beginning to establish in Mysore. And there are a number of government incentives and there are a number of initiatives that have been taken by the government to attract businesses to Mysore, including GCCs. Right. So, for example, I'm part of government of Karnataka's Beyond Bengaluru initiative, where Mysore is an important cluster for ESDM and some of the GCCs, and a Mysore Tech Park is being built as we speak right now, which should be operational in a couple of months. So there is a big push from the government of Karnataka to attract different types of industries, both electronic as well as software companies, into Mysore. So that bodes well for Mysore as far as tapping into the available infrastructure is concerned. Also, the available talent pool is concerned. Right. So in line with those, there are a lot of other changes that are happening in Mysore. Anybody who has been in Mysore for the last 3 or 4 years will recognize that the demography of Mysore has changed in the last 2.5 to 3 years since the freeway was built between Bangalore and Mysore and the connectivity has improved. When I say the demography has changed, there is a lot more and more younger people, and therefore the social infrastructure that people want to see, the younger generation want to see in terms of the nightlife, different types of restaurants, different places to go and entertain themselves, etc., are also beginning to mushroom. So those are good. This bodes well for companies to be able to retain the talent that they have hired here in Mysore. Right. So now let me switch to okay. So there, in terms of the companies, there are of course the manufacturing companies that Mr. Jagadesh can talk about. From the IT and ITES sector perspective, there is a huge demand for non-engineering graduates as well in Mysore. Okay, so it is just not the engineering colleges, but also a large number of non-engineering colleges, the humanities, let's say science colleges and arts college, commerce college, etc. I believe that that talent pool cannot be ignored at this point in time. It is a talent pool where you can get the cream of the talent and still be able to train them on, let's say, engineering jobs as well. When I say engineering, let's say software engineering, etc. So I would like to divide the availability of talent pool into two parts. One is purely IT and therefore engineering oriented, let's say software engineering kind of oriented. Then the other set of companies is the ITES companies, where the demand for engineering graduates is less, but the demand for science, arts, and commerce graduates is more. Right. So the challenge that we see today in Mysore is the talent retention. right? So because the ecosystem is not robust enough, after 2 years or 3 years, the younger generation tend to leave Mysore and go to greener pastures in Bangalore. And it is so very true for engineering graduates again. Engineering graduates, when they graduate from here, they typically prefer to go to Bangalore because there are larger number of IT companies, therefore larger opportunities. And also, if they decide to move out of the current company that is hiring them as a first job, there are a lot many more companies available for them to jump to. So therefore, Bangalore is a natural attraction for people who are engineering graduates, and therefore they tend to gravitate towards that. But we have also seen that after about 8 to 10 years or 12 years, they tend to come back to the roots in Mysore, and they want to settle down here, and they want to, because of the roots in Mysore, etc. So attracting engineering graduates and for them to stay here in Mysore, we need lot many more in software companies or IT companies to establish shop here. It is heartening to know that off late, for example, IBM has set up an office in Mysore, and they already have about 2,500 to 3,000 people in Mysore. And there are other GCCs that are being pushed very hard by the government of Karnataka to set up shop in Mysore. So it is a good place for these companies to come early, establish their brand, and attract those engineering graduates and hire them and keep them here, right? And the second one is talking about the non-engineering graduates. As I said, the company that I run here in India or in Mysore, for example, we primarily hire non-engineering graduates, right? So there are other companies who are in the KPO space, like Theorem that you mentioned, where I had worked on. There is Hinduja Global Services as well, and there are a few other companies who primarily their requirement is non-engineering graduates, right? So once they have worked here for 2 3 years and they get the experience or whatever, and then they have the option to move out to Bangalore or anywhere else they want. But the retention is still a challenge in Mysore because of the fact that people are looking to explore, particularly the younger generation. They want to go and explore and say what they have outside. But it is possible to retain people if you build your brand early on, and if you work in an area where people consider to be niche, like the robotics, like the AI, like the machine learning, etc. And one other thing that I would probably add to your list of industry verticals is cybersecurity, Aditya. Cybersecurity is something which is very big, and Mysore is. I've been a part of some of these initiatives. We are trying to establish Mysore to be the cybersecurity hub of India, right? So there is a lot of action going on, a lot of work being done, including the current member of parliament from Mysore, His Highness Mr. Yaduveer, and he has a foundation called Cyberverse Foundation, which is doing a lot of work in the area of cybersecurity. So there are companies coming in, they're trying to establish themselves through various channels, including, as I said, Beyond Bengaluru initiative of government of Karnataka. And there are talent pool available. As you rightly said, there are 16 engineering colleges, and there are hundreds of other non-engineering colleges as well. Right. So that is so your some of your data is, or most of your data, I think, is on the money. Is absolutely correct.
Yeah, thank you, Bhaskar, for adding a couple of additional perspectives to it. You made it enriched, so thank you very much. So, Jagadesh, you heard Bhaskar talk about particularly focused on the IT side of things, IT, KPO, outsourcing. I call it IT and outsourcing in general, which includes GCC, BPOs, KPOs, and services. I would request you to look at it from manufacturing perspective. Also add in the defense manufacturing, the newer kind of manufacturing which is coming in. So how do you see this? And you yourself have moved from Bangalore to Mysore a few years ago, and your experience of having lived there and having sort of oversight on factories in multiple locations in India. So give us an overall perspective of how you see our report and your perspectives.
Thank you, Aditya. I think your report, as Mr. Bhaskar Karar also said, you have captured most of the thing what Mysore is expecting. Actually, if you say the Mysore has expanded, Initially, I think it was around 80 square kilometers. Now it has multiplied three-fourths. I think it has increased areas like Puttagalli, Kadakola, Srirampura, and Chamundi Hills, which is a bigger area where new industry are coming up. I think most of the manufacturing plants are coming up in these areas. I think this will create a lot of scope for Mysuru to grow, and also the infrastructure, the expressway which has come is definitely going to pull talent back to Mysuru. If you ask me, as Mr. Kale was telling, back to roots. I think now the main focus of HR of Mysuru is that to attract people telling back to Mysuru. So there is lot of talent which have already established in Bangalore. So to build an ecosystem in Mysuru, I think we have to bring back these talent so that they create a very conducive atmosphere in Mysuru, who are having roots, and I definitely they can play a very significant role in developing the industries or supporting the investors to create a very conducive atmosphere for having a prospective business. Second thing is we should attract more people by providing some assistance. Like we shouldn't tell Mysore as a tier 2 city. We should not. If you're telling that, then people think that the scope of going back to tier 1 or going to the next level will be hampering to them. So Mysore is the new destination where people can have a peaceful life from all the chaotic what they are facing in Bangalore. Definitely Mysore has a very good recreation, and there are a lot of place. So the young generation, that everyone want to have their own free time. So Mysore is the best place. In the weekend, you can see the whole Bangalore travels towards Mysore, Ooty, or the Coorg. So if these guys are relocating to Mysore and getting a good job, definitely they will have a lot of time, and they need not travel, and they can see a lot of places, and definitely they can support in creating a good what you call HR or work environment to people who are here. And we should also discuss with the colleges here, as there are many colleges. The industry should partner with them, and so that they have to design some skill-based training where the focus is on multi-skilling of blue collar. So as soon as these guys come out from the colleges, now it is not a technical that IT or diploma is mandatory for any production. So now most of the industries are depending more on a non-IT background also, so that these guys work in only repetitive jobs, could be in manufacturing setup itself. Only high skill jobs need ITI diploma or engineering skill. So there should be a partnership between the industry and the institutions, where there are some programs run along with some batches of students, pilot projects, so that they can come and work in the plant also as an internship for a short period of 1 month to 3 months, and they can take the knowledge of the industry and also develop the requirement of the industry. And then I think this will help in creating a lot of opportunities for the youngsters also, that they can work in manufacturing setup also, even if they are not non-technically qualified also. And
Right.
again, the compensation. So Mysore, if you see, as a HR, I can say the compensation is very less comparatively, because people coming from Bangalore to Mysore, they have to step down their expectation and compensation. I think Mysore has to gear up so that they have a competitive pricing for people who are relocating, so that their aspirations are met, so that good and right talents are attracted to Mysore, so that a lot of opportunities given. I think
Right.
flexi working, everything is there in Mysore. I think
Sure.
Mysore is a good place for many businesses, not only
Right.
IT or manufacturing. Even tourism industry is a big industry. I think wellness tourism can be promoted in Mysore. A lot of
Right.
wellness yoga centers are there. In fact, hotel and tourism are a big boom. I think Mysore can still have. And also there are a lot of sustainable industries which are coming. I think a lot of investments will be there. When it
Right. Right.
defense sector, I think a lot of investments are happening. Make in India systems are there. I think the recent army's intervention into Pakistan, the Operation Sindoor, have created a stir in the market so that many of them are aware, even the younger generation are aware that some of the industries are making a lot of effort in building self-defense system for the army. And Mysuru also has played a very vital part in this. In fact, JK organization also had some major contribution in this Operation Sindoor. Definitely, it will attract some of the youngsters to come and relocate to Mysore and
Yeah.
make Mysore a
Yeah.
more happening city than what it was thought.
Right, great. Thank you. Thank you, Jagadesh, for giving an overall perspective. So what I'm hearing is that there are many opportunities. Probably the city needs to sort of market itself a little better so that many more people are aware of it. So there are 5, 6 points which have emerged in this past half an hour of our conversation. I just want to take those 5, 6 points very quickly. So one is both of you have spoken about the skill development part of it, the gaps which are there. So when you hire freshers or when you see some gaps, right? The skill gaps, that what you'd like to and what you are getting. So let's put them into 3 buckets. One is the engineering graduates, another is the non-engineering graduates, and third is the technical manpower which we hire from ITIs, diploma, or sometimes even the 10th standard, 12th standard people that we get into our workman category or apprentice category. So in these three, what are those skill, just the gaps? If you could, Bhaskar, if you could just throw light on the engineering and the non-engineering part, and Jagadesh, if you could throw light on the other 2 categories, it will be great. Bhaskar, to start with.
Yeah, in general, across the country, I don't think it is specific to Mysore per se. The employability of graduates, whether engineering or
Yeah,
non-graduate,
absolutely.
is a huge gap, right? So
Yes.
all of us know that, and that is why organizations have a separate training department, and they spend a lot of time and effort and money in getting these people up to the level that they can perform organization. So Mysore is no different. But if I were to segregate specific skills that are required, I think the one that jumps out for me is the communication skills, right? So IT and ITS, I think communication skill and softer aspects of their skills is very, very critical. See, hard skills engineering colleges will teach you how to do a programming in Java. They'll teach you what an AI is, right? So there are 2 things: communication skills and the application of the knowledge that they have acquired. Those 2 skills. So that is where the employability will go up, right? So the application, if you look at let's say what happens when it's a doctor, for example, right? So by the time they graduate, they're already ready with treating patients, right? So and then same thing with, let's say, chartered accountants. By the time they are CAs, they know how to go and work on their own, etc., etc. But unfortunately, that is not the case in case of engineering graduates or non-engineering graduates. I think
those are interestingly you mentioned about those 2 professions where by design one is the doctor has to do house surgeonship, and the chartered accountants have to go through articleship. That's how the apprenticeship as a concept is kind of built into those 2 professions.
That's correct, right? So in the absence of that in the engineering and non-engineering, there are a lot of efforts going on in Mysore, since my days as a CII chairman for Mysore zone, and as well as I'm also currently the president of Tyre, which is an entrepreneurship program organization in Mysore.
Yes.
There are a lot of push to get people some kind of an apprenticeship or some kind of an internship in companies so that they build some of these skills. Right, so I think those, the gap, the skill that is required, I think, is the employability. From the employability perspective, is communication skill and the application of the knowledge that they have gained. Otherwise, everything is just it's a theoretical knowledge.
Yeah, got it. So, Jagadesh, your perspective of manufacturing and for the manufacturing sector, the two buckets.
Manufacturing sector, I think we don't have much skill uh, readily available when they come out of the ITA or diploma. So what they have studied and whatever the industry is there, it is a lot of difference is there. Actually, we like to have people trained. I think whoever reports to the company, at least minimum of 15 to 30 days on-job training is given, so that they fit to their respective industry, and then they continue. So many of them, we see the dropout within the first week or within 10 days, so that they don't try to adjust to the atmosphere of the manufacturing industry and what they have studied in the college, even if it is ITA or non-ITA also. I think we should partner with some of the local employers along with KSDC and set up a training joint skill labs, so that in this, I think definitely common job roles, shared training and curriculum of various industry, and standard certification can be done when they are doing this ITA diploma or even SSLC or PUC also. So
But
this,
don't you think, sorry to cut you there, but don't you think these apprenticeship programs that we have and the skill development which is happening by industry academia partnership, are they not effective?
it's not effective because most of the guys who are coming from rural areas are not ready to go for the apprentice also. So I have seen many of them getting dropped from apprentice training also. They don't continue. We have these NATs and NAPs which has come, and I think that they are just hopping their jobs because uh, they feel that industry, they jump from one industry another industry within a short period of time, and creating a lot of drain of talent train. So I see many industry, manufacturing industry, they lose the trainee within 3 months. Could be
Yeah,
from
yeah,
hike of 500 or 1,000. These guys jump, and whatever training
absolutely.
they
Yeah,
are.
yeah. No, 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 so that raises a very important question. Even Bhaskar also spoke about attrition. In our research, we have found that Mysore demonstrates little lower attrition than a tier one city like Bangalore. It is understandable because of the opportunities and access to that, right? So, is there anything that you have seen happening here in this local ecosystem, which is making retention better or can potentially make it better? Bhaskar?
You see, our experience, Aditya, has been that in the ITS industry, and it could be different for manufacturing industry. ITS industry, particularly in Mysore, the mobility of people is very, very high, right?
Hmm.
So, and therefore, the younger generation seem to, so the attrition is high actually in Mysore, right? So it may be a tad lower than, let's say, a place like Bangalore, but by no means we can say that Mysore industry attrition is very, very low. It is high, but I attribute that high attrition to the fact that there are no other opportunities available in Mysore, right? So that ecosystem doesn't, exist for them to move around, right? So therefore, so when these people when we hire people who are non-graduates, after 2 years service agreement, they leave, and most of them actually go to Bangalore, right? So whoever is leaving, actually
Yeah.
100% of the people who leave us go to Bangalore, because there is no other healthcare company in Mysore, right? So they all end up going. So we have
Yeah.
replenished that. So that is where
Don't you lose people to Chennai, Bhaskar?
very, very rare, very
Very well. Hmm.
extraordinarily rare. Most of the, actually, I would say probably 99% of them go to Bangalore.
Bangalore.
And
Hmm.
there are also other social aspects that I have noticed, people wanting to work for bigger brands in a bigger city that will assist them or aid them in finding marriageable alliances, for example. That's one of the things that's surprising, but that's what I've heard as well. And there are also many youngsters who want to go and explore and be outside of the shadow of their parents,
Yeah.
right? So those are the things that contribute to the retention challenge in Mysore, Aditya, in my opinion. But I also believe that if there were opportunities that existed here in Mysore, many of them will probably will stay back in Mysore.
Okay. Okay. So you, in a way, resonate with our recommendation that more and more companies should come into Mysore in that sense in IT and outsourcing sector.
Absolutely. I mean, as I said, I've seen Mysore change over the last 2 years, dramatically, I should say. And what seems to be happening is the shift is couple of them. One is, as you mentioned, Bangalore Mysore freeway, right? So, and work from home. A lot of people now work from home for companies in Bangalore, for example. So they have a lot more disposable time and money, right? So the because everywhere you go in Mysore, it takes most of no more than 30 minutes, and you are at the other end of the town. In fact,
Yeah.
Mysore, you may still be new to Mysore. In Mysore, we joke that if you are late to any place, you can never blame it on traffic, right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's how easy it is to get from one place. I mean, it is getting worse, but that's a different story. But what I'm trying to say, the quality of life is very, very high. People who want to, who talk about work-life balance, etc. I don't think you can get that better than any place, any other place better than Mysore, right? So
Right.
there is plenty.
Right.
Therefore, productive time outside of traffic. You don't have to spend in traffic, and
Right.
therefore, when you come to work, you're a lot more productive, is what I believe.
Right.
Rather
So some of these aspects probably need to be told to potential talent. Jagdish, your perspective on retention?
Retention, I think we should think of increasing their remuneration and taking care of wellness of the employees. I think these are the two things which these blue collar employees would like to have more. If they feel that the remuneration compared to Bangalore is very less in Mysore, so once we are going to par with the cost of living or Mysore, I think definitely we can have retention of them.
But the cost in Mysore will be lesser
The cost
than.
of living in Mysore is less, but still, people would like to save more. They want to have money saved. So I think we should also see that how to increase the wage component so that there is lot of people attracted towards Mysore or coming back to the hometown and then settle. So I think
Right.
the employer should make the CTC component in such a way that how to attract this blue collar associate and also retain them here. The problem is
So
you're not able to retain them in a job for more than 1 year also. After a year, I think they try to.
right, right. So what I'm hearing is making the cost differential too large is not helping for retention. Is what Jagdish is saying. Bhaskar, do you agree with that? Do you see the cost differential actually is very high and that contributing to attrition?
Actually, I don't see the cost differential, at least in the IT industry, to be that huge. If you look at it holistically, right? So, very fact that if you are living in Bangalore, for example, your cost of living goes up. It is just not about the rent; it's about the food cost and it's about the travel time and the travel cost.
Yes.
That also goes up. So,
Yes.
if you take all those things into account, I think overall Mysore cost of living is much lower. There is no doubt about it. But people don't perceive it that way. What they
Yeah.
see is on my paycheck, what do I get? They don't realize the fact that if they are paying, let's say, 20,000 rupees a one-bedroom house in Mysore, for example, they could be paying up to 35,000-40,000 rupees for the same one-bedroom in Bangalore.
Yes.
And then they also add the fact that the amount of time they spend in Bangalore in
Right.
commuting, and the cost of petrol and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bangalore is still attractive enough. We just have to get that out there. But as I said earlier, Aditya, there are other social aspects that also come into the picture that is beyond our control.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
True. True.
I've heard people say that, look, I want to go and work for Amazon or the Walmart or the IBM or anybody else because my parents are looking for a marriageable alliance for me, and
Yeah.
it would help my prospects if I'm working for a larger, well-known brand.
Yeah. Yeah. I got it.
Yeah.
That's clear. But in terms of a cost, is there a significant differential at all? For example, somebody who's joining an RCM industry in Bangalore versus Mysore, is there a huge differential cost?
At the entry level, not a huge difference, but
Yeah.
there is a difference after a couple of years of experience.
Right.
There
Right.
is a significant difference, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll move on to the next topic, hiring experienced professionals. That's always a challenge for an emerging destination. I don't call it a tier 2 city like Jagadesh suggested. It's a good point because I remember in my own HR career in the year, let's say, I think 2001 or 2, when we were recruiting thousands of people for HSBC's global delivery center in Vizag. We were kind of marketing Vizag as a destination, and we were trying to sort of help them hire roughly about 1,000 people in the first year, and it was quite a Herculean task. So I relate with that, though it is like 20 odd years ago. But I understand hiring experienced people must be a challenge. And how are companies dealing with it apart from internal promotions? Bhaskar and then Jagdish.
So you're right. Bringing experienced talent to Mysore is very, very difficult unless that person has roots here in Mysore.
Mm.
So it's extraordinarily difficult. I'm not going to sugarcoat it at all. It's very difficult to bring, but again, things are changing, right? So, for example, many GCCs, when they want to come to Mysore, one of the things that they want to know is, look, I'm going to bring in my senior people from, let's say, abroad, or from Delhi, or from Mumbai, Bangalore. What kind of schools are available here for their kids, right? So, till very recently, we didn't have very good international, when I say international schools, schools with international curriculum. But now that is changing, right? So
Yeah.
just last month, Indus International School of Bangalore, they opened a branch here in Mysore starting this year, right? So now the landscape on, that's what I mean by social infrastructure, right? So or you call it the supporting infrastructure. So those are critical for us to attract people who have experience, who have families, who have kids, etc. So what kind of support we can provide, or the city can provide. There are few things I think we can do much better in terms of promoting. For example, if somebody is moving into Mysore, let's say with their older parents, for example, Mysore has a phenomenal healthcare industry.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And there are so many other places for people to go and visit. You know, every 5 hours, you know, if you drive for 5 hours, you're in Mangalore beaches. You drive 3 hours, you're right there in Kavini, you know, Tyre reserves, for example. So there are a lot of other activities that we should be doing that we haven't done as well as we should have, right?
Absolutely.
But I think there is a huge, what do you call, opportunity for us to continue to, you know, chip away at being able to attract the talent, the experienced talent, bring them to Mysore. And as I said, for them also, let's say, see, typically IT, I'll put one last point and we'll stop. Rather, I will stop. So ITS, typically people don't stay more than 4 years in a company, right? So 4 years is their tenure. If somebody is coming to Mysore, they ask a question, after 4 years, what next? Right? They don't want to uproot their family again from Mysore and go back to Bangalore or wherever, because there is that ecosystem doesn't exist. So if the companies start to come in and start setting up shop, I think it becomes a lot more easy for the experienced talent to also come into Mysore.
Absolutely. Very well said. And Jagdish.
I think for our manufacturing industry, getting experience to Mysore is also little challenging.
Yeah.
One is, as we said, Mysore is a very decent place to settle the family and school, everything is there. We also, as a tire industry, I can tell that we are at the best location compared to Chennai or any other place. The climate is very good, and also the manufacturing plant, what we have is very near to the city. So there is no need of traveling. All schools, colleges, everything is very much available.
Exactly.
We should showcase some of the success stories of bringing lateral hiring here in Bangalore, Mysore, and how they have grown in Mysore, how they are settled. So I think this will create a brand to the company or the HR as a fraternity to that, how their recruitment of lateral hiring has given fruit, that they are able to sustain and they are able to grow. I think this will promote the brand Mysore also.
Absolutely. I think thank you for kind of bringing up all of this. I can imagine that we can go on and on this topic for a very long time. But thank you, Bhaskar, and thank you, Jagdish, very much for bringing out all the relevant points in my mind, which are very, very significant for the business community in general, that what Mysore has to offer. It also creates an opportunity for many of us who are already in Mysore to think of the opportunities that we ourselves are sitting on. How do we showcase? And thirdly, it talks a lot about the perspectives that we have presented today for talent to evaluate Mysore as a destination, for families to consider Mysore as a destination. Thank you again very much for both of you, and for our viewers who tuned in and who watch all of this episode subsequently on social media. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Aditya. Pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye.